What's up, guys? I'm BTC. There is a brand new patch on the PTR, and this time it does include some hero balance changes. Most of it is nerfs. Just throwing that out there right now. Most of it's nerfs. There is a buff that is a pretty substantial damage buff. We'll get to that in just a second. First character, though, is Hammond. So what they changed was, for the pile driver, the loss of air control was reduced from 1 second to 0.5 seconds. Now, I want to point out something here. This is not Hammond's loss of control. This is the loss of control that the enemies have. So let me show you real quick. I'm going to try to hit one of these bots that is moving around, and then you'll be able to see it. So I'm going to hit him. He gets knocked in the air. You can see very, very quickly they start moving around. So this is a nerf, again, to the crowd control stuff that Blizzard has been trying to weaken, right? They did it with Orissa's halt. They did it with Mei's freezing and her slowing effects. They also did it with Sigma's ultimate and stuff. So Blizzard is trying to reduce the amount of time you don't have control of your characters, and I think a lot of people are going to like that, but it certainly is a nerf for Hammond. Next character is Brigitte. Now, one of the things that's kind of happening right now is two different comps are coming back. The first is Dive. The second is Brawl. And this includes having characters like Reinhardt and Zarya, or even Reinhardt and D.Va actually is getting a lot of play right now. And you have Brigitte in that, who is just kind of helping out with the Brawl up close, and it's using a lot of that kind of GOATS-like tactics that we saw before. Now, it's not obviously the same thing as GOATS, but, you know, it's kind of similar. So the changes that they made to Brigitte involve her repair pack. The first is the armor overheal was reduced from 75 armor down to 50 armor. So when you use the healing on a target that already has full health, or when it's bringing them up to full health, you now only have the two little extra right there. So that is 25 armor each. That is 50 extra armor instead of the 75. The other thing is that the healing per second was decreased from 60 down to 55. So a nerf to both the overheal and how fast it can heal by itself. Now, of course, you can still combine this with the healing you get from the Inspire, but her repair pack has definitely been nerfed in several different ways, and again, that is to kind of prevent the Brawl comp, or at least to weaken it a little bit. Next up is Symmetra, who got the only buff in the entire patch. Her right click, which is the photon projector secondary fire, the damage was increased from 120 up to 140. So that's a pretty good amount of damage that you can now do with that. I mean, 120 by itself was still pretty good. 140 is even better. The problem is that Symmetra in general is pretty terrible. And I don't really think that this is going to change a whole lot. I mean, I don't know. Like, okay, yeah, you can spam it, but it doesn't really make up for the fact that the character just isn't very good. Right? Like, yeah, oh, yeah, you can spam these 140 damage things into the enemy, but, I mean, why not just use a different character like Hanzo or McCree or something that's going to have more reliable damage output without a slow-moving orb, right? I think some of the other changes that they need to make for Symmetra is fixing how the teleporter works. You can make it, it lasts forever, but I think that when she destroys it, I think it should have a reduced cooldown, just like how Torbjorn has a reduced cooldown when he destroys his turret. Rather than having it go on a full duration, that would allow Symmetra to be able to have more flexibility with it. You know, if the enemy destroys it, then it still gets punished and it's put on that full cooldown. But if Symmetra says, okay, well, I want to take that down and I want to put it over here, and she destroys it when it hasn't been attacked, I think you should have a lower cooldown. Next up is Widowmaker, who got a nerf to her primary attack. The full charge time was increased from 0.83 seconds up to 1 second. Now, keep in mind, you don't really need to use the full charge most of the time. If you are pretty good, if you're pretty accurate with Widow, then you don't need the full charge in order to take out an enemy. However, because this is increasing the overall time, it means that even getting to that threshold, which is, 60, 70, 80% that you would need in order to one-hit an enemy, that is going to now take a little bit longer as well. So the whole thing has been kind of stretched out a bit. And this is definitely going to be a nerf for the higher skill players who are able to, very quickly scope in, take out a target, scope to something else, take out that. But for the lower bracket players who probably hold it on the 100% charge for a little while and they try to, find your target rather than just rapidly kind of quick scoping into your targets, it's not really going to have that big of an effect because, you're already at full charge, so, right? It's not going to do a whole lot. But what this does is, effectively, it weakens the quick scope. It's not really a true quick scope, but you guys know what I'm talking about, right? Like the quicker attacks that you can do. So, nerf to Widowmaker's damage potential overall. Combine this with her recent nerf to the grapple, which means that she now has less mobility, less escape. Right now, these changes are on the PTR, although I expect that this sort of stuff will be regularly put in that new PTR Lite, the experimental game mode that Blizzard is going to include at the end of this month. So starting in March, all the people on the console, you're going to be able to try out these changes and stuff as well. Obviously, bigger things like new heroes, maps, that sort of stuff is going to be restricted to the regular PTR, but you'll be able to try out all these changes as well. Now, I expect that these changes will probably get pushed through to the live version of the game, maybe in just 4 or 5 days. Last time I think it was only like 5 days. So these are not like massively big changes to the characters, and I expect that they would definitely just get pushed through as is. Maybe there might be some minor changes here, but I think for the most part, yeah, everything, I look at this, and I think for the most part, they're just going to push it through the live version of the game, just making sure that none of this causes any serious issues. So what do you guys think about these changes? Let me know down below. Thanks for watching, and if you'd like to see more, make sure you subscribe and hit that bell to get notified. You can get some cool gear, join my Discord server, or follow me on social media with the links down in the description below. Special thanks to my Patreon supporters, and remember, always blame the controller because it's never your fault.